Hello, my name is Michael, and I obsess. I come across something that grabs me and I consume until I can't take anymore, and then I'm on to the next. Some obsessions last a week, others a lifetime. It is my intention to explore these obsessions with you as they occur while the passion is hot. Welcome to Eclectic Obsessions.
Shall pay, Black Prince. I curse you with my name. You shall be Blacula.
Blacula, the Black Avenger, rising from his tomb to fill the night with horror. Blacula, Dracula's soul brother, deadlier even than he.
You know, he is a strange dude.
You're the nut that ran in front of my cab. You're the only imbecile on this street. Boy.
Blacula.
Look at man, you found, she's got to be around here somewhere. Now listen, you take your hands off of me. I don't know you.
He thirsts for your blood. He hungers for your soul. Warm young bodies will feed his hunger. Hot, fresh blood will quench his awful thirst.
Make it a Bloody Mary. Are you, into the occult?
No!
How about the, heavy stuff?
What do you think of vampires?
Vampires? I think they're possibly the most fascinating of all.
More horrifying than Dracula. The Black Avenger, Blacula, from American International Pictures.
I don't recall the first time I saw Blacula. I know I was a child and it was late-night television. I also recall that I loved it. I had no concept of blaxploitation as a genre. I was just watching an awesome movie. I would come to love blaxploitation later, but that is a different podcast. It is Blacula and its sequel Scream Blacula Scream that we will be exploring on this episode of Eclectic Obsessions. Blacula is a 1972 American blaxploitation horror film produced for American International Pictures. The film was created by William Crane and stars William Marshall in the title role about an 18th century African prince named Mamuwalde. He is turned into a vampire and later locked in a coffin by Count Dracula in the Count's castle in Transylvania in the year 1780, after Dracula refused to help Mamuwalde suppress the slave trade. Nearly 2 centuries later, in the year 1972, 2 interior decorators from modern-day Los Angeles, California traveled to Castle Dracula in Transylvania and unknowingly purchased the now undead Mamuwalde's coffin, which they shipped to Los Angeles. Unlocking the coffin, the decorators release Mamuwalde, becoming his first 2 victims as a vampire, turning them and the others he encounters in his bloodthirsty reign of terror into vampires like himself. Mamuwalde later meets a woman named Tina, played by Vanetta McGee, whom he believes to be the reincarnation of his deceased wife Luva, also played by McGee in the pre-opening credits scenes at Dracula's castle. Blacula was released to mixed reviews in the United States, but was one of the top-grossing films of the year. It was the first film to receive an award for Best Horror Film at the Saturn Awards. Blacula was followed by the sequel Scream Blacula Scream in 1973 and inspired a wave of blaxploitation-themed horror films. In 1780, Prince Mamuwalde, played by William Marshall, is sent by the elders of the Ibani African nation to seek the help of Count Dracula, played by Charles McCalloy, in suppressing the slave trade. Dracula instead laughs at this request and insults Mamuwalde by making thinly veiled overtures about enslaving his wife Luva, played by Vanetta McGee. After a scuffle with Dracula's minions, Mamuwalde is transformed into a vampire. Dracula curses him with the name Blacula and imprisons him in a sealed coffin in a crypt hidden beneath the castle. Luva is also imprisoned in the crypt and left to die.
To totally cease the slave trade? I find that unrealistic. Slavery has merit, I believe.
Merit? You find merit in barbarity?
Barbarous from the standpoint of the slave, perhaps. Intriguing and delightful for mine. I would willingly pay for so beautiful an addition to my household as your delicious wife.
Sir, are you ill?
Oh, I meant no insult, Prince. It is a compliment for a man of my station to look with desire on one of your color.
Sir, I suddenly find your cognac as distasteful as your manner. You're behaving like some animal.
Really?
Really?
Let us not forget, sir. It is you who comes from the jungle.
Our evening is finished. I pray you arouse your coachman. We are leaving.
I do not think so.
How dare you!
Let me go!
You shall pay, Black Prince. I shall place a curse of suffering on you that will doom you to a living hell. A hunger, a wild, gnawing, animal hunger will grow in you. A hunger for human blood. Here you will starve for an eternity, torn by an unquenchable lust. I curse you with my name. You shall be Blacula, a vampire, like myself, a living fiend. You will be doomed never to know that sweet blood which will become your only desire. You will watch, helpless and dying, until the black flesh rots from your bones. Listen for his cries. They will comfort you until your death.
In 1972, the coffin is purchased as part of an estate by two interior decorators, Bobby McCoy, played by Ted Harris, and Billy Schaefer, played by Rick Metzler, and shipped to Los Angeles. Bobby and Billy open the coffin and become Prince Mamuwalde's first victims. At the funeral home where Bobby McCoy's body is laid, Mamuwalde spies on mourning friends Tina Williams, her sister Michelle, played by Denise Nicholas, and Michelle's boyfriend, Dr. Gordon Thomas, played by Thalmus Rasulullah, a pathologist for the Los Angeles Police Department. Mamuwalde believes Tina is the reincarnation of his deceased wife Luva. On close investigation of the corpse at the funeral home, Dr. Thomas notices oddities with Bobby McCoy's death that he later concludes to be consistent with vampire folklore.
Evening.
How you doing tonight? Sit down, have a drink.
Thank you very much. Very thoughtful of you.
Hi, what do you have?
Make it a Bloody Mary.
Mamuwalde, maybe you can help me. Are you, into the occult?
Oh, it has some fascination.
How about the, heavy stuff? witchcraft, voodoo, devil worship.
Well, we can't ignore what the world characterizes as the black arts, now can we? I think that there's some truth in all of it.
I've come to that conclusion myself.
What do you think of vampires?
Vampires? I think they're possibly the most fascinating of all.
Do you believe they exist?
Well, does the devil exist? People have believed so for thousands of years.
You seem well informed.
Oh, perhaps.
The police have a theory about these killings.
Are we to assume that they believe a vampire or some other such creature is responsible?
A vampire.
That's it, maybe.
However, many in the department don't believe it.
Now, I would think that to be the vampire's greatest defense.
You're right. Still, they're organizing a search.
Search?
Yeah, find his resting place, the vampire's coffin.
Perhaps the modern vampire doesn't require a coffin. They are rather elusive, you know.
Prince Mamuwalde continues to kill and transform various people he encounters as Tina begins to fall in love with him. Thomas, his colleague Lieutenant Peters, played by Gordon Pinsett, and Michelle follow the trail of murder victims and begin to suspect a vampire is responsible. After Thomas digs up Billy's coffin, Billy's corpse rises as a vampire and attacks Thomas, who fends him off and drives a stake through his heart. Thomas also finds a photo negative taken of Mamuwalde and Tina in which Mamuwalde is not visible. After killing one of the undead victims in the city morgue, Thomas and Peters track Mamuwalde to his hideout, the warehouse where Bobby McCoy and Billy Schaefer were first slain. They locate and defeat several vampires, but Mamuwalde manages to escape.
We are of the Yabani tribe, you and I, northeast of the Niger Delta. Our people are renowned as hunters. Almost 2 centuries ago, the ruling elders of my people sent me, yes, and my bride, to Europe on a mission to protest the slave trade.
The slave trade?
On that mission, I myself was enslaved, my wife murdered, and I was placed under the curse of the undead. Our assassin was the vampire, Count Dracula.
Count Dracula is a myth. He wasn't real.
Oh, yes, he was real as I am now. As real as you are. And my need for you. You are my Luva recreated.
What are you asking of me?
I want you to rejoin me.
Can't. I can't.
Well, you must come to me freely, with love. Or not at all. I will not take you by force, and I will not return. I've lived again to lose you twice.
Mamuwalde? Stay with me. Please.
Mamuwalde lures Tina to his new hideout at a nearby chemical plant, while Thomas and a group of police officers pursue him. Mamuwalde dispatches several officers, but one of them accidentally shoots Tina fatally. To save her life, Mamuwalde transforms her into a vampire. One of the policemen locates the coffin and alerts Peters. However, Peters inadvertently kills Tina with a stake, believing that Mamuwalde would be in the coffin instead. Devastated at losing her again, Mamuwalde willingly climbs the stairs to the roof, where the morning sun destroys him. Blacula was released on August 25, 1972. Prior to its release, American International Pictures' marketing department wanted to ensure that black audiences would be interested in Blacula. Some posters for the film included references to slavery. American International Pictures also held special promotional showings at 2 New York theaters. Anyone wearing a flowing cape would receive free admission. Blacula was popular in America, debuting at number 24 on Variety's list of top films. It eventually grossed over $1 million, making it one of the highest-grossing films of 1972.
Well, it was a part of the so-called exploitation period in the early 70s when there was an outcry on the part of black artists and would-be producers, writers, for films that dealt with the lives of black folk, because this had never really been done or considered very much in the United States. And I remember myself saying there were so many stories that black people could have fit into very easily, since you say there isn't much material about us, although we have the richest history of any folk walking this earth.
We do have a lot of history. Much of that history you brought to this film. You were quite demanding about that, I understand.
Well, quietly, yes. I thought it would make it a better film, and it would make it a film that I could be in. I think there was something of a resentment on the part of many producers who sensed this outcry and didn't want our voices to ring resonantly about and create a new kind of genre.
Right.
So, and that they were interested in my playing the part, I explained that this was not a part that was going to be successful where they were concerned. They want to make money. This isn't it. They said you need to have a property that will be of interest to your target audience.
Sort of a hook that would really make it work.
So he's got to be meaningful. He's got to, when he becomes a vampire, he is no longer useful to his people. So he sets out from Africa, as I see it, trying to do something about putting an end to the slave trade. It's draining Africa of its people. It's a vile, vulgar thing.
Right.
And that's his mission. He doesn't succeed, but at least he attempts.
He attempts to succeed. Now, you actually convinced them to change the script, and as we saw in the movie, Blacula, before he became Blacula, was a prince from Africa.
Prince Mamu Walde was his name.
Was there much resistance at that time to do this?
Absolutely.
What did they say to you? What kinds of things were said to you?
Oh, I don't think that will work. We don't want to deal with the subject of slavery. And I said, well, we didn't want to either. Had to.
It's true.
And I think that it hasn't been dealt with properly. This is a wonderful time to illustrate that there were African people who were concerned to the point that they wanted to do something about it. And that was true.
Who dares touch these rotting bones? Who dares call forth the most horrible specter of the damned? Now he's back. The Black Prince of Darkness, Blacula, recalled by the awesome powers of voodoo to stalk the earth in a new quest for blood. Blacula, Dracula's soul brother, seething with hate, obsessed with vengeance, craving young bodies, lusting for hot blood to create new victims for the legions of the undead.
And with evil vampires. Good. That gives you something of an edge over the rest.
William Marshall, again, as the Lord of the Vampires, in a relentless search for Pam Grier, the exciting star of Coffee.
I need you!
Now he is back. Ever more evil, ever more fearful than ever before. screen. The bloodiest legend of our time.
Scream Blacula Scream is a 1973 American blaxploitation horror film made under the working titles Blacula is Beautiful and Blacula Lives Again. It is a sequel to the 1972 film Blacula. The film was produced by American International Pictures and Power Productions. After a dying voodoo queen, Mama Loa chooses an adopted apprentice, Lisa Fortier, played by Pam Grier, as her successor, her arrogant son and true heir, Willis, played by Richard Lawson, is outraged. Seeking revenge, he buys the bones of Mamawalde the vampire from the former shaman of the voodoo cult and uses voodoo to resurrect the vampire to do his bidding. However, while it brings Mamawalde back to life, he quickly bites Willis upon awakening. Willis now finds himself in the curse of his own doing, made into a vampire hungering for blood and ironically a slave to the very creature he sought to control.
Hey, what's this, man? What's going on, man? I can't see myself. You got something to do with this, man?
I'm afraid that's one of the misfortunes of the cursed.
Oh, man, you jiving. Hey, look here, man. You mean to tell me I ain't never gonna see my face again? I mean, a man has got to see his face. I don't even know if I want to go now. Can't even see myself. How do I look, man?
You were going somewhere?
Yeah. Justin's having a big party. He's showing off his African collection.
African?
Yeah, dude's brought back all kind of stuff. Sculpting, jewelry. Come on, man, tell me the truth. It's important. How do I look?
You've decided to go?
Well, you know, I might as well. Anyway, my old lady's gonna be there, and she gonna get dead in my case if I ain't there. So look, you have a nice evening, and I'll see you later.
You go nowhere. Now listen to me carefully. You are never to leave this house without my permission. Your only justification for crawling on this earth is to serve me. Understand me well. If you ever dare to disobey, I will slice into your chest and pull your worthless life out.
Meanwhile, Justin Carter, played by Don Mitchell, an ex-police officer with a large collection of acquired African antiquities and an interest in the occult, begins to investigate the murders caused by Mamawalde and his growing vampire horde. Justin meets Mamawalde at a party Justin hosts to display the African collection pieces before being moved to the university's museum. They discuss the artifacts, unbeknown to anyone else, that were from the region of Africa Mamawalde hails from, including pieces of jewelry once worn by his late wife, Luba.
It's beautiful. Exquisite. The Niger dynasty produced so many fine artifacts.
Ibani.
I beg your pardon?
The necklace is of the Ibani dynasty.
We appreciate your concern, sir, but I believe you're mistaken.
Hardly. It was fashioned in 1755. This necklace was worn by Princess Luba. Do you have the matching necklace?
No, I didn't know there was one.
Oh, yes. The other was made for her husband, a prince of the Ibani tribe. Oh, 1,000 pardons. I didn't mean to intrude, but I was out walking and the happy sounds attracted me.
Not at all. I think it's terrific. Are you sure about those dates and things?
Yes.
Hey, that's great. I'm happy to have you here. I'm Justin Carter.
Jumbo, I'm called Mamawalde.
Mamawalde. Miss Lisa Fortier.
Mademoiselle Fortier.
Professor Walston, African Studies, Robeson University.
Nimafurahi Sanakwakukuna.
Lafayette. It's my pleasure. What part of Africa are you from?
The Segu River region, just north of the Niger Delta. I really must compliment you on your collection. It's just splendid.
Thanks. It's a good one.
Justin has donated the collection to the University Museum.
I'm very happy.
Well, the party's sort of an official goodbye.
I see. Tell me, Have you any more pieces from the Segu River region?
Yeah, there are, as a matter of fact. Would you like to take a look at some of them?
I'd be most pleased to, thank you.
Would you care for some wine?
Oh, not a thing, thank you. Ah, I see you're interested in folklore.
Yeah, I've been on sort of a kick lately. Been reading all sorts of junk like this.
Junk?
Well, you've got to admit that this stuff is pretty far out. You believe in any of it? Occults, rituals?
Let me say that I believe there are many things that exist that man does not know about. Man needs ritual, some form of worship to combat the very real existence of death. I look upon that as one of man's basic needs.
Oh, I go along with that. But I've got to tell you, I'm a born cynic. I finished just one book and it had.
You ever hear of Count Dracula?
Yes, of course.
Vampire, right? Well, this book tried to make me believe that he really existed. And not only that, it tried to convince me that vampires are real.
That's fascinating. Well, I guess we both best be careful that one doesn't jump out at us some dark night.
Says to kill one. A wooden stake must be driven through its heart.
I wonder if that's true.
I wonder.
I've always loved the deep red color of a fine wine.
It is beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, much like the deep red color of blood.
Yes. I think I will have a little glass, after all.
Mama Walde also meets Justin's girlfriend Lisa Fortier at the party, and he discovers that Lisa is naturally adept at voodoo. Lisa discovers Mama Walde's true nature after a friend of hers, Gloria, falls victim to his bite and is resurrected as a vampire who nearly feeds on her if not for Mama Walde's intervention. He later asks her for help to cure him of the vampire curse.
You all know Lisa Fortier. She is under my protection. Not one of you shall harm her. This is a commandment. And if one of you disobeys, you will never imagine the pain I offer. Unendurable, everlasting agony.
Justin, with the help of LAPD Lieutenant Harley Dunlop, played by Michael Conrad, pulls together several other cops to go to the Mama Walde residence to investigate the recent deaths. While Lisa is performing the ritual to cure Mama Walde using a voodoo doll fashioned to look like him, Justin, Harley, and their men raid the house, fighting against Blacula's vampire minions, which include several friends of theirs.
There's something strange here.
What?
Now, these are the pictures we took of the dead bodies, and there's no sign of them. It's as if they were never there.
Everybody knows that vampires can't be photographed. Now, every 10-year-old knows that.
Ah. Oh, you're making me nervous. Sergeant Williams! You want me to do something?
I have no choice. My only alternative is to destroy myself. Therefore, I ask that you help me return to my homeland by exorcising this demonic creature that inhabits my body.
Willis is killed during this scuffle. Justin manages to find Lisa and Mama Walde and interrupts the ritual. Lisa refuses to help Mama Walde after she witnesses him kill the other police officers in the house in a fit of rage.
No! It was working! I could have been free! It was working! Working!
We'll do it again! We'll start over!
You go with me then?
Yes!
Now?
Yes, only don't hurt him. Please don't hurt him.
Lisa.
No.
Please, you mustn't be frightened.
Stay away.
Please. could never harm you.
Don't touch me!
But you've got to help me. No, don't refuse me now. I need you.
Give away!
Mama Waldy.
The name is Blacula!
After realizing that Lisa is no longer willing to help Mama Walde, he rejects his human nature and decides to convert Justin into a vampire. Shouting he is only Blacula, Lisa stabs the prince's voodoo doll with Justin's arrows repeatedly. The film ends with Blacula screaming out in pain from Lisa's voodoo doll attacks, but his final state is left ambiguous.
The preparation was I did do research on voodoo and juju. I loved learning about the bones and the chickens and the curses and the things like that and the little dolls you stick pins in. But it was wonderful doing that because doing your research on it is just like theories of black magic that you're not familiar with. And I always felt like if I mess with it, can something really happen? So I wanted to be really careful not to. You know, chicken bones and hair and stuff. And we would, I think with William Marshall, we both loved the fact that we prepared and we studied. And we didn't want to mess with it. We wanted to respect it just in case it worked. And Richard Lawson, he was great. He didn't like being in the room. Some actors were really superstitious. They don't want to mess around with things that you don't understand. He really did. He was superstitious about it.
There's also, too, a lot of special effects in Blacula Scream. And AIP had some...
Not like today.
Yeah.
Our special effects was like a firecracker in the corner.
Yeah.
There's some smoke.
But that was such, a wonderful thing about a lot of those movies is that the stunts and the special effects and everything were just really, really wonderful for that time.
It was. It was. Yeah. It was a struggle. But I still love the passion of... That was the best of what it was. Right. And no one got burned or suffered. So Blacula Scream, I think, was $500,000. Yeah. And it made something like $8 million. Yeah. I still have my teeth.
You still have your teeth?
They'll probably go for auction, I'm sure.
But they weren't
I want those teeth.
They weren't the dentist kind that
no, they were. The dentist did make them so you could pop them in over your teeth. Yeah. They're very well done.
Yeah.
But I don't like to play around with that. I really don't. I'm kind of, because I come from a family of juju women, geechee women that pull them curses on each other. But I wanted to explore the world of vampirism and the symbolism of where it came from, the empowerment of it, of being able to take someone's blood and they become a vampire, part of your family.
There is no getting around the fact that these movies have aspects that are not considered acceptable by today's standards. However, if they are viewed within the context of their era, they are wildly entertaining and an excellent entry point into the blaxploitation genre. I have been obsessed with them for years. Thank you for listening to Eclectic Obsessions. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe on iTunes. Leave me a review. All 5-star reviews will be read on the show. You can follow the show on Facebook at Eclectic Obsessions, on Twitter at Eclectic Obsess 1, on Instagram at Eclectic Obsessions Podcast, and on YouTube at Eclectic Obsessions. I'd love to hear what you think. Feel free to email the show at ecobpod@gmail.com. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new Eclectic Obsession.